How you doing? So I'm going to teach you how to make this flag today from 1 by 2, 3 feet. Alright, come with me. So I'm here at my local Lowe's. This is where I got most of my wood. You want to try to find the best one as possible, straight, nothing warped. It may take you some time, but take the time you need to pick the best ones. So this is the grain. You want to find one with lots of grain. It comes in very handy later on. One thing you also, if you don't have a saw, your local store can cut your wood for you. I'm here in my garage right now, so I mark each one at 3 feet. I'm gonna cut I made my flag 3 feet, so I'm gonna cut each one at 3 feet. So I marked the first one, and I use my garage door as a stop, so I can cut multiple cuts without stopping and marking each one. So this saves you a lot of time. Sorry for the vibration, the camera sitting right on the work table. All right, so finish all your cutting. So I want to take, these are 2 foot leftovers. You want to save these. You want 3 of them for your flag, and the rest of them you save for later on. Never throw away leftover material. You save them or save them till the project is done. So now onto the sanding. So I sand each of my wood down to get rid of any splinters, because I do sell to customers. I don't want to make sure it's perfect as possible. So take the time to sand them down if you're going to sell your flag. If not, you don't have to spend as much time sanding if it's going to be yours. But for me, I take the time to get it perfectly on both sides. So this is why you want to choose wood with good grains in it. A lot of good characters. Even if they're like a little bit, seem like they're banged up, it brings character to the flag, especially when you get to burn it. Not literally burning the flag, sorry, but you will see. See that? It pops, and that's what you want. All right, so we're gonna, basically what I'm doing here, I'm gonna mark each one at 12 inches. So you're gonna mark from one end where your star is gonna be at 12 inches. I normally mark each one, I wanna make sure it's right as possible. And sometimes when I go back through and take my square and try to square it off to make sure everything is nice, but I normally mark each one individually. Then I use my square and then mark the line straight as possible. And I normally take a razor, and I use the razor for stop any bleed over. And then I tape the side. I'm not going to spray, just in case you get any misfire when you're spraying. You don't want to come back through and try to sand it down. So I use a tape and I put my hand right there so the spray will hit my hand. If there's any misfire, to just hit my hand instead. And then, so here, of course, I'm spraying it. Just be careful you don't overspray on the next wood. So if you do the blue, you want to move those out of the way so when you're spraying, you don't get on them. It's late at night, so I'm spraying inside. Normally I spray outside, but because it's dark, I want to see what I'm doing. And what helps a lot, go ahead and wipe it off right away. You are dealing with a stained spray, so it's staining the wood more, so it's okay. You don't want it to sit where it's dark. You want to see the grain of the wood. So go ahead and spray. And when you complete to spray that one piece of wood, go ahead and wipe it off completely. You want the stain, you don't want it to be solid red. You want the wood grain to show. Just be very careful of overspray. Of course, wear a gloves and a mask because this can be very strong. Well, it is strong. So you do want to wear a mask if it can help spray outside. I prefer outside more than inside. And I spray my top of my flag. So you can do that. I spray the top and the end. So the top of the last wood on top, I normally spray the top of it. Most likely when when you post it, put it up on your wall, you're not gonna see it. But for me personally, I just like to be uniform across the board as much as possible. So just make sure you do that. And also the side, I want to make sure the side, because if someone will walk into your house or a client buy it, they want them to see the different colors. So I normally spray the ends and the top. The last wood at the bottom and the last wood on top, I spray those. You see what I'm doing right there? Yeah, you really don't need to let it sit. When it sits, the drier it gets, the darker you won't see the wood grain, and you do need it to see the wood grain. I like it that way, and so far all my clients that buy my flag love it that way. Whatever works for you. If you want to spray and let it dry completely, that's fine. I like to see the wood grain, and all my clients love the wood grain, and that's how I make it. So anyhow, so that's it already. So what I'm going to do right now is remove the razor, make sure I wipe it. Now we're going to do it again on the other side. So re-enter the razor, tape the side that I sprayed. It normally dries really quick. And then I'm going to do the blue. A little tip, if you do get any spray over, a lot of times if a razor doesn't go, sometimes it bleed through, you want to scrape it, spray your rag, not the wood, because you don't want to get on the opposite color, and then just dop it in, and that will get rid of it. But once the razor works great, normally you don't get a lot of bleed over. And a little tip, go ahead and lay your flag out and flip them over. Don't roll over. If you don't roll over, it's gonna be upside down when you put it together. And you remember the 2 feet of wood left over? You wanna take that, mark each one where you're gonna put your screw. Make sure it lines up with pressure so it squeezes in, and then mark where you're gonna cut it. I'm gonna cut it there. So what I normally do, I put normally 3 of them together, and I just drill all the way through to each one. You see I have all 3 stocked up. The last one, most of the time, won't drill all the way through, but you can just go ahead and do that one by itself. So I'm double checking. I don't like to go back and fix something I did once, where I glued the entire flag together, and I'll turn around and looked at it, and 2 of the thing was the same color, so I had to take it apart completely and redo it. So double check and make sure you flipped over and don't do a roll over. If you do a roll over, it's gonna be upside down. So I got my square. So you want to measure, I normally put mine at 5 inches from the end. And that's where I put my piece of strip. So here, I want to make sure it's straight. I glue it up. You don't necessarily need to glue. Then the screws is enough. I made flag with just the screw. I like just extra strength or stability. So I had the glue and the screw to give that secure strength to make sure nothing comes apart later on. And make sure you always, because when you screw it down, your glue start oozing out, so you want to wipe that up. And then you force to find the middle and put one in the middle also. And these are white wood, so they do sometimes get warped. Even when you buy them straight, they're still kind of drying. So they're dry, they start making shapes. You want to still make sure you screw. First couple flags, I did not burn the back, and I do burn the back from on because I've been making so many. I do burn each of them, and if you cannot clamp your flag by yourself, you can use a clamp to clamp it. I actually start using a clamp because I want it to be tight as possible, which there's no seams between each of the wood. And now we're gonna do the stars. You can get template. I may put a link for a star template where you can just put it right over the blue and just put your star. I normally freehand all my stars before I just eyeball it, and I get pretty accuracy by looking at it, but I start using a square just to speed up my time. And because I've been making so many, I want to go a little bit faster. I still haven't used a template. I might later on down the road, but I will put a link in the description for a template. And I love my square. And then here I burn the star, not a lot, just I kind of like almost like shoot it, just to kind of give a little bit of burnt texture as the rest of the flag. And also I will put a link where I can buy my stars. And here I do, if you look where the blue is, I eventually burned the spot. Somehow I missed it in this video, but I burn everything. And here I'm putting the clear. I put a clear glossy, so whatever finish you put in yours, just kind of protect it. I get mine from Lowe's, a little bit cheaper. I will put a link in the description for that. But I'm not sure if you can buy these online or not delivered to you, so you may have to pick up at your local store. But this is the best part, cause you have some gloss to it, but it gives that nice finished look. And take your time, you want to get everything as possible, every edge. I don't spray the back. I just spray the sides on the top. That's my main focus. If you are going to use your flags and outside, sealer, you want to consider using an exterior screw. Well, it lasts longer outside. But this is it. This is the finished product. Let me know if you guys have any questions in the description. Let me know what you would change or what would you do better. But anyhow, this is it. Thanks. That was fun. So here we go. And you can make this one also military guys that like it. No, go and make yours. But subscribe first before you go. Alright, go. Tag me on Instagram. I want to see how you make yours.